Welcome to the Nathan Braich Real Estate Success Podcast. It's your trusted real estate professional, Nathan Braich, and I got you covered from Greater Vancouver to the Fraser Valley. We're kicking things off with a special guest today. We have BC's Housing Minister, Ravi Kahlon. Ravi, thank you so much for hosting us at your beautiful office here in North Delta.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've had an incredible journey. You're a two-time Olympian. You've served as an MLA. You've also worked as a mortgage broker for the Royal Bank of Canada. So you really understand BC real estate from multiple perspectives, a level of finance, government, and personal experiences. But before we start talking real estate, I got to hear, what's your favorite Olympic memory?
Man, I have so many. I think that walking on the opening ceremonies in Beijing, the Beijing Olympics, was by far the best moment. I went to Sydney Olympics in 2000,
right,
but we never got a chance to go to the opening ceremonies.
Oh, is that right?
Because we were competing the next day. And because we were competing the next day, the coach didn't want us standing around. So people don't realize when the opening ceremonies happen, people just see us walk out. What they don't realize is for 3-4 hours, we're in a holding stadium, walking around, waiting, nervous, anxious, talking to other athletes. But it's a long day, and so we never got a chance. But in Beijing, I got a chance to do it, and it was just special. Just being able to walk out behind the Canadian flag, it was a special moment for me.
I actually watched you in the 2008 ceremonies in Beijing, and you and a handful of your teammates decided to tie turbans. What motivated you guys to do that?
Well, one of the things that was important for me and my colleagues was that, like when my dad came to Canada, he had a pug, right? And so he wore a turban. And so the challenge was that he was told you can't get a job unless you cut your hair. And a lot of people who came early days were told if you look like you just came, or if you have a turban or a beard, you're less likely to be hired by employers. So really tough decisions in those days. And so for me, it was like, how do I recognize my family's journey?
Right.
How do I recognize the sacrifices and struggle of my family? And also, I think, recognize my community along the way and the significance of the moment. So I actually went to the store, one of the fabric stores here with one of my buddies, and we bought enough material for 6 bugs.
Right.
And washed them and dried them and washed them and dried them and softened them up. Right. Took them there, and it was a surprise.
Wow.
They didn't know. And so when I opened up the suitcase, our assistant coach basically put the bugs on all of us. And it was pretty special moment. That's
amazing. I come from immigrant family just like you. Our parents worked so hard but for you to pay that respect to them, it means a lot. And it was a powerful statement.
Yeah, it was edgy. There was a lot of controversy. Some people didn't want us to do it, and they said it didn't match the uniform and all that. So it was weird, the amount of pushback we got.
Right.
But hey, I have no regrets.
You definitely made the Punjabi and Sikh community proud.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You played a little bit of basketball in your day as well?
I played a little bit of basketball, high school champions, Loudermilk Park on the island.
Was Steve Nash around during that time?
Steve Nash was a couple years older. His sister was my age.
Right.
They went to St. Michael's. We grew up in the same neighborhood,
but
he went to a private school.
Got it.
And we went to a public school. And so, the Nash family is very famous, obviously.
Right.
But we had a good basketball program, and we were provincial champions. So,
really?
Yeah.
I actually played in the AAA provincial tournament back in 2006, now the Quad A. I ended up leading the tournament in scoring and steals. I was first team All-Star. Yeah. Some BC greats like Nash played in that tournament. Pasha Baines played in that tournament. And I love your sports background. Yeah. I also won a national championship in college, played against several Division I NCAA schools, and I played in a professional tour in China. Yeah. It's not on your Olympic level, but I got to tell you, these Chinese pros are no joke. Yeah. They had 7-footers, guys with knockdown jumpers and crazy handles. Yeah. Fun fact, you and I actually played one-on-one. Do you remember that?
We do, yeah. I remember,
this must have been like 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but you beat me. Okay?
Well, yeah.
We were playing on somebody's driveway. It was crooked. There were cracks. The hoop was bent, but you kept it simple. You backed me down, got to your hook shot, and
I call it bully basketball. Us old dogs, You know, the only way we can compete with the Young Bucks
Right.
is to play the rough and tumble, and I have to say it was probably only because the conditions were more favorable to me. You know, cracked sidewalk.
That was
crooked hoop.
That was 90s basketball if I've ever seen it. But there you have it, folks. Your housing minister can ball. He's a hooper. Don't sleep on him. Okay. Now, on a serious note, do you think there's a correlation between elite level sports and success in business?
Yeah, hands down. I mean, what I found is that anyone that's played sports, anyone that's played in a team environment, has an automatic edge over other people. It is.
Right.
Partly because you understand that when you work on a team, you might not always like all your teammates, but when you go on the court or on the field, you're on the same team and you got to pull through, right?
100%.
That's one important lesson. Second is you learn discipline. You learn about motivation, like a level of motivation, discipline that most people don't get a chance to experience. And you deal with stress in a different situation. You know, in sport, you're actually being prepared for life.
Right.
You're being prepared for a level of stress and anxiety, and if you can't deal with it on the sports court, you won't be able to deal with it in your daily life. And so I think people who are participating in sport, doesn't matter the level,
right?
You get a natural edge and advantage when you move forward into whatever you end up doing after.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's so many life lessons that youngsters learn and carry with them throughout life and through adulthood. Yeah. And I got a special offer, actually, for anybody watching. If you list with me, I will coach your kid for free. All right?
That's a good deal.
Right?
That's a good deal.
Why not? Why wouldn't you, folks?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Now, let's transition from sports into real estate. I assist buyers all the time, and the number one question I get is it a good time to buy now? Now, I know interest rates have fluctuated. People have been hesitant. But in my experience, those people who've taken action and bought into the market strategically are in a winning position long term. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say that the real estate expertise is with you in the profession that you're in. What I would say is that everybody that didn't buy at a moment in their life now regrets it.
Right.
I remember at one moment we were thinking about getting something on Commercial Drive 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and we're like, oh, I don't know.
In Vancouver.
Yeah, now we drive by that every single time going, oh man, I wish we'd gone that. And so, I think this is just a discussion that happens every year. And what I would say from a Minister of Housing perspective, we need to have more type of housing options available for people. Right? For some people, a single family home is not affordable. If it is, hey, good for you, things are great. But for a lot of people, they're not. And so we have to find different ways of getting different housing options available. And I do believe that the dream of home ownership is still alive.
Right.
It just means we have to do some things differently from a government perspective, from local government perspective, and from home builders.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah. Everybody has that story. I should have bought, I could have bought. Yeah. That really resonates with me because right here in North Delta, the Delta Rise, I could have bought, and it was like 200 something grand, went up tons of money, but it is what it is. From my experience, you want to get into the market where you're comfortable. Right. I have a personal story of my house in Vancouver. I built it in 2020 from the ground up, and at that time I contacted realtors asking them what my home was worth. And they quoted me a price that was hundreds of thousands of dollars less than what I paid for it. I was devastated. I was heartbroken. I actually cried. I cried a few times, right?
It's a stressful thing.
It is. It's your life savings. You put everything, your blood, sweat and tears into it. But fast forward to now, it's up over $500,000 than what I paid for it. So long term, when done strategically in real estate, I believe you will always be in a winning position. It might take a little bit of time, but it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah. And I don't want to sell that to anybody, right? Yeah. But when done strategically, long-term, I definitely feel like home ownership does put people in a winning position.
And you know what? What we find is there are some people who just want to rent, but there's a lot of people who want to buy a home. And so my view is and the work I do, I always think, well, how do we create those opportunities for people to be able to have that?
Right.
It doesn't mean everybody has to. If you're not wanting to, that's cool. But if you want to, how do we create that opportunity? Whether it's through condos, whether it's on one end a brand new single family home,
right,
or what we call small scale multi-unit, right? Like triplexes and fourplexes, so that people can buy into it to get that opportunity to have home ownership. I believe in that, and certainly hoping that we can continue to create opportunities for people to do that.
And that's awesome. And that pride of home ownership means something too, right? To call it your own.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's, anyone you talk to that's had that opportunity, it's a special moment, right? And so want that for everybody, if that's what they want for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see BC real estate in the next few years?
Well, if you look back at, since I was a kid, people always talk BC real estate. People talk housing. I always joke with people that housing used to come up a lot, but all of a sudden in the last 2 years, I feel like everywhere I go, I only talk housing. And since I became the Minister of Housing, that's the only topic people want to talk about.
Right.
But I would say that it's a top of mind issue. We live in one of the most desirable places in the world. We are lucky. In British Columbia, everyone in the world is looking at British Columbia. And I say that not as in just someone who's proud. I actually am telling you that, you go to other places, they say Vancouver, but they mean the whole region.
Right.
And so with that means people want to come here and they want to have opportunities, but we need to have more housing options available for people. And so I do think that in the coming years, we're going to see a lot more housing come online, different types of housing options. Right. And that's an exciting thing.
I couldn't agree more. And I love Vancouver. I live in Vancouver. I love the seawall. I love the mountains. I love the air. I love the people. And I think the world has realized that Vancouver's a beautiful place. Right? The U.S. dollar is so
secret's
strong.
out.
Right?
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
And they're coming.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you guys have done to help first-time home buyers. Like, what are some strategies the government has implemented to help first-time home buyers? Yeah,
well, we've made an extension to the first-time home buyers kind of credit so that people can get into buying their first place. But really, my focus and the government's focus right now is to increase supply.
Right.
We need to be able to create more type of products. Condos to single families, but everything in between.
Right.
We need to have those triplexes, those duplexes. Those are more affordable for a lot of people, and we are trying to dramatically increase that. So, we passed a law last year that said all local governments must allow up to 4 units on a single family lot.
Right.
Now, local governments are changing their bylaws. Some are doing a really good job. I would say Burnaby's done a good job. All right, now you can build a fourplex, you can build duplexes. Surrey did not bad a job so far.
Right.
And some communities have a lot more work to do. But the reason why we're doing it is we're saying, let's remove the red tape. Not saying single family homes are dead.
Right.
People want them, they can afford them, keep building them. That's fine.
Right.
But don't make it so hard for people to build a triplex or a fourplex. Make it more easy for people to do that. I believe that will create more opportunities, maybe in some cases rentals, but it also creates opportunities for people to have their own home in a different format than just a condo. And I think that's the future for many people in British Columbia.
I agree. I have a listing coming up in Vancouver right now, and with the new rezoning, it's zoned for up to 6plexes, 4plexes. They decided for them they're going to build 2 duplexes. Sell one and live in the other, and it just works perfectly for their family. So I think we're definitely headed in a positive direction with that.
Yeah, and housing policy takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. And so you make a change now, you actually only start seeing the impact 2 years and 3 years from there.
Right.
And so, but we are already starting to see that shift, which is a good thing.
Gotcha. Now, the interest rates have come down. What does this mean for buyers and sellers?
Well, the interest rates coming down, I think, helps in 2 ways. One, a lot of people had real financial hardships when the interest rates went up. Like, people are struggling. People are stressing me.
I'm one of them.
You know how many calls I get from people being like, "Hey, bro, when are the interest rates going down?" Like, I have a control over it,
Right.
And but it's done independently. The government doesn't have a control. The federal government can't control it. The province can't control it. The Bank of Canada, which is independent, purposely independent. Because you imagine if a government official had it, right? Anytime somebody complains, you'd be like, no, get rid of it.
Right.
So it's done independently. But it caused a lot of hardship for people who had payments and they were freaking out and stressed out. So interest rates coming down, I think, has relieved some of that pressure. It also stopped a lot of projects that were going to go forward because all of a sudden the numbers don't pencil.
Right.
And so I'm hoping now that the rates have come down, that things start settling and that we're able to see some more housing come online.
Now, on that note of financial hardship, like my personal payments went up $3,000, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. But I feel like people are overextending themselves, especially in the Punjabi community. Everybody wants a second house, a third house, a fourth house. But in my opinion, sometimes it's better just to sell.
Yeah.
Cash out.
Yeah.
Don't stress. You only need one house.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's an old song, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, right?
Right,
That's a
right.
hard thing, right? Sometimes making that decision is hard. And I get it. Like a lot of parents, I talk to a lot of parents in my community, and they're like, they want to try to get that place so their kid is going to be okay,
Right.
or their kids are going to be okay, right? And so it's not always as simple. And so, I don't give people advice on when to, that's your job.
Right.
I don't tell them when they should sell or what they shouldn't do. I would just say that I appreciate that it's not easy. It's not easy for people, and it's a tough decision to make. It's an emotional decision.
For sure.
But it is up to people to make.
And for anybody going through financial hardship who've been thinking about selling, give me a call. Let's discuss the best strategy that works for you, because in the end, we want you to be in a winning position, stress-free, and not worried. Now, I recently helped a family actually upsize. Family in Port Moody, high demand, low inventory. We helped them achieve the record high selling price in their condo, and we upgraded them into a townhouse. Mm-hmm. So for those families, do you think there is still opportunity to go from condos to townhomes and from townhomes to detached properties?
Yeah, you see that shift, right? You saw everybody coming to the suburbs some time ago, and then you saw people coming back into the cities as they retire. The reason why, when we changed the law to say that you're allowed doing 4 units on a single family lot, the reason why it was really important, not only because we want to create different type of housing for people, not only because we want to increase housing supply available for people, but it's also an opportunity for many seniors. Because I hear from seniors all the time who say, I love my community. If I sell this house, where am I going to go?
Right.
I don't want to leave the community. Well, now you can build a fourplex, potentially sell each unit individually, stay in one unit, and sell the other units.
That's financial freedom.
Financial freedom. You can cash out. You're still in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
You're still connected to the community, but you get some of the money so that you're able to enjoy your life. And people who worked hard their whole lives should be able to do that.
I totally
and so, this is not only for young people, is my point.
Right.
This is available for people who are now at the point where they want to enjoy their lives. They worked hard. They are able to cash out a little bit and create more housing supply for everybody else.
I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Totally. Or maybe it's just you want to do it for your kids. It's each your own.
Okay.
But the opportunities are for everyone.
Awesome. Now transitioning, U.S. President Donald Trump came out and said he wants to make Canada the 51st state. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I got in a little bit of trouble because the news was interviewing me and I said there's no effing way that's going to happen. But I feel that. I believe that, right? There's no way in hell that we are becoming the 51st state. Now, we have discovered now that this was never about fentanyl. This was never about all those things he said early on. This was always about trying to increase manufacturing in the U.S., but also this 51st state idea is actually something he wants to consider. And that's a scary thing for Canadians. So, I'm doing some work on that. Premier Yubi's asked me to do some work on the tariff response. How do we respond? How do we strengthen our local economy? How do we diversify and sell our products to other parts in the world? Housing is a critical part of it. If you don't have enough housing for people, you can't attract the talent. If you can't attract the talent, you can't support your local economy, and so all of it is connected. I would say housing is central. You want to improve housing, you want to improve healthcare for people, you have to address the housing situation.
Right.
If you want to improve the economy, you got to make sure there's housing available for workforce. So that's why housing is in the important part of the conversation in every space we go to, because it's connected to so many things.
So do you think this threat on implementing tariffs to Canada is going to go through?
Well, I would say two things. If you've ever been bullied in your life, you know that the bully first comes for lunch money, and if he gets the lunch money, he's coming for the lunch.
Right.
And so, I think that what would stop him for wanting to come for more? We have important trade discussions happening next year. The trade agreements are being renegotiated. Like the federal election is going to come up. I'm really worried that we are in that space, because we're going to need somebody there that actually will sit face to face with Trump and negotiate. So yes, this is not going to be done. No matter what happens in 2 weeks. This battle is going to be with us at least for 4 years, and we don't even know who's coming in next.
Right.
This could be on for a long time. So we have to prepare, and that's the work we're doing.
So do you think if Canada places tariffs on the U.S., it'll offset the impact?
No, you can never offset the impact. And so, what we see is that tit for tat, it never works.
Okay.
And our worry is hurting our economy. We don't want to hurt our economy here in British Columbia.
Gotcha.
So we're trying to be really thoughtful to limit the impact as minimal as we can.
Okay. Well, Ravi, I appreciate your time. It's been a great interview, a lot of invaluable advice. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Hey, we got to have a rematch on that one-on-one. Okay?
I think you hustled me. You look fit now.
I'm not losing this time.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.